You're listening to Week in Review on 90.3 WRST, the radio station of the Titans. Week in Review is a 30-minute student-run news program that focuses on stories from the UW Oshkosh campus, the city of Oshkosh, state and national headlines, as well as a weekend weather forecast. Week in Review can be heard every Friday from 5 to 5:30 p.m. on 90.3 WRST-FM, the Radio FX app, or streamed on 90.3 WRST.org. This week's news starts now. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and happy Friday. It is great to be here on the second episode of Week in Review for the spring 2024 semester. I'm your host and WRST News Director, Jacob Link, and as usual, tonight we will have a bunch of students who will be contributing their voices on the show, state and national headlines, and a weekend weather forecast. We have a lot of news to discuss tonight as President Joe Biden visited Milwaukee on Wednesday. The U.S. House of Representatives passed a bill that could ban TikTok nationwide, and the UW Oshkosh campus received a suspicious email detailing a threat to campus safety. That's all coming up in this edition of Week in Review. Let's get right into the top stories of the week on and around the UW Oshkosh campus. The UW Oshkosh Police Department notified staff and students March 13th that the UWO campus, along with 250 other universities across the nation, received an email detailing information about a potential threat to campuses. According to an email from UWO Police, law enforcement determined that the threat is not credible after receiving information from the FBI and conferring with a network of police and officials from across the country. UWO Police said they will continue working with the FBI and other law enforcement partners to identify the perpetrator. According to Fox 56 in Kentucky, over 200 universities across the nation were sent an email that claimed that there were, quote, multiple bombs on campuses and that there would be an active shooter threat, end quote. UWO PD said that they checked various areas of the UW Oshkosh campus for suspicious activity, but nothing was found. Campus police worked alongside Fond du Lac and Menasha police departments who determined that no suspicious activity has been observed on the UWO access campuses. UWO police said if suspicious activity is observed, it should be reported to the police. Students can reach the UW Oshkosh Police Department by calling 911, using the UWO mobile app, or by calling their non-emergency line at 920-424-1212. The Oshkosh student government election will take place next Monday and Tuesday. Taylor Calling has more.
The UW Oshkosh student government spring election is coming up next week and will take place March 18th through the 19th. This election is for OSG's 2024-2025 student government leaders, specifically the president and vice president. 30 seats on the OSG Senate are also open for election. Tyler Claver, the advisor of OSG, said their main goal is to act as advocates for the student body here at Oshkosh.
If there are issues that are affecting students on campus, usually it's kind of intimidating for just a random student to go and ask for assistance or to bring up the issue to like the chancellor. That's where student OSG comes in, is that we're the middle person.
Students can start voting this Monday at 8 a.m. online through Titan Connection. Students can also check for an email from Tyler Claver for a direct link to the voting site. This is Taylor Calling with WRST News.
The Oshkosh Police Department arrested a suspect March 8th after responding to a weapons incident on the 1800 block of West Murdoch Avenue in Oshkosh. At 6:07 p.m., Oshkosh police were notified by residents on West Murdoch Avenue that a weapon had been fired in the direction of their homes. Law enforcement located a suspect vehicle which fled from officers. Oshkosh police followed the vehicle to a residence where a male was seen entering his home. Officers set a perimeter and later took the male suspect into custody at 6:38 p.m. without incident. Oshkosh police reported that no one was injured and there is no threat to the community. According to the Oshkosh Police Department, detectives conducted a search warrant and weapons were found at the suspect's home. The suspect, a 38-year-old male, was transported to the Winnebago County Jail on multiple charges. If members of the public have any information regarding this incident, they are encouraged to contact the Oshkosh Police Department at 920-236-5700. UW Oshkosh welcomed activist Channel Miller to campus on Wednesday. Matthew Glocka has more.
Yesterday, UW Oshkosh was pleased to welcome on campus Chanel Miller as a guest speaker, a part of the Oshkosh Speaker Series. Miss Miller is an American writer and artist. She gained widespread attention after she was sexually assaulted in 2015 on campus at Stanford University. When Chanel wrote the book, she chose to stay anonymous for a few years. When she decided to come out, her decision to come forward and to share her story has sparked important conversations about sexual assault, consent, and the criminal justice system. Chanel shares her story with the world in hopes that victims of sexual assault won't be scared to come forward. She uses her own example to give light to that.
I don't know that there was ever a day I firmly decided. I did know that I wasn't going to let the fear of what men might do dictate what the rest of my life was going to be. Through writing, all the hours spent looking at my past, dissecting it, putting it back together, I realized the assault was never all-consuming.
Chanel keeps on inspiring thousands of survivors with her story. She continues with her passion of writing, and her goal is to keep on creating stories and works of art. For WRST News, my name is Matthew Glocka.
Titan TV and 90.3 WRST-FM took home 26 awards at the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association Student Awards for Excellence held February 24th at Lambeau Field in Green Bay. 90.3 WRST claimed 16 awards at the ceremony, while Titan TV, UWO's campus television station, won 10 awards. 90.3 WRST's first place awards were for Best Newscast for Radio, Best Sports Programming Non-Play-by-Play for Radio, Best Sports Play-by-Play for Radio, Best Live Special for Radio, Best Episodic Entertainment Program for Radio, and Best Website. Titan TV's first place awards at WBA were for Sports Programming Non-Play-by-Play for TV and Best Informal Educational and Corporate Spot for TV. Wendell Ray, 90.3 WRST General Manager, said he was very proud of his students' hard work over the past year.
But it's just reflective of what the students do and the hard work that they put in to what they, in class and at the radio station.
Titan TV General Manager Justine Stokes said she was happy so many students won awards from WBA.
But more importantly, if you look at what we won across all different types of content, all different sort of level of productions and classes. And I'm almost more proud of that than anything else.
Ray said he has to tip his hat to the students who win awards for the work they do in class.
Particularly those who are 120 students who had never done a newscast before or never done any kind of work on the air before and won awards. I think that says a lot. And, hats off to our managers as well, who put in a lot of work and make sure that the station sounds good and looks good on the internet.
Ray said the number of awards is reflective of the Radio TV Film Department's approach to blending curriculum with facilities.
You just don't kind of go in there and figure things out yourself, that there's a whole curricular approach to teaching students how to use the equipment, how to create content, and I think it shows every year in how both Titan TV and WRST are able to garner awards.
Stokes said the RTF department gives students what they need to thrive in and out of the classroom.
If you really think about the RTF program, it's not just us, but it's WRST. And I just think it shows the kind of student that this program attracts. And these are students that are serious about their careers and are willing to do the dirty work, because those shows anything. And whether it's a WRST or Titan TV, they're hard, they're difficult, they're not always getting compensated in any way for doing the work, but I think they really recognize the importance of the experience.
More information on the WBA Student Awards can be found on their website at www.wibroadcasters.org/College Corner. Heading right into our state news, over 15,000 petition signatures from Wisconsin residents demanding the protection of contraception access were delivered to Republican leaders in the state legislature March 7th. During a press conference, members of the state legislature pushed for the proposed Right to Contraception Act to be scheduled for a vote before the 2023-24 legislative session concludes this spring. State Senator Dianne Hasselbein, a Democrat from Middleton, said that there is no time for complacency when it comes to protecting the use of contraceptives. Hesselbein said, quote, "With the continued onslaught of attacks on reproductive freedoms throughout the nation, including the Alabama Supreme Court's shocking ruling on frozen embryos, we must take action to protect contraception access and people's medical freedom," end quote. The Right to Contraception Act, which was co-sponsored by State Representative and former Oshkosh Mayor Lori Palmieri, would establish that a person has the statutory right to obtain contraceptives and engage in contraception. The bill would also establish that healthcare providers have a right to provide contraceptives, contraception, and to provide information on contraception. Although contraceptives and contraception are many times used interchangeably, the bill defines contraceptives as any drug, device, or biological product that is used to prevent pregnancy, while contraception is defined as an action taken to prevent pregnancy, such as sterilization. Under the Right to Contraception Act, healthcare providers would not be able to prevent patients from using contraceptives or contraception and would make it illegal to prevent access to contraception, contraceptives, or information relating to both. The bill says that state and local governments can't prohibit or restrict the sale or use of FDA-approved contraceptives, and the Attorney General has the power to bring a cause of action for a violation of the provisions of the bill. UW Oshkosh students can contact their state legislators to voice their opinions or learn more about the proposed legislation. One person is dead and another was wounded after a shooting incident turned into a standoff in Sheboygan on Wednesday. Ted Allen has more.
Police there say a 31-year-old contractor was working on a residence when he was shot in the face. When police arrived, they said the 52-year-old man who they believed fired the shot was still inside the house and refused to come out. After several unsuccessful attempts to contact the suspect, police obtained a search warrant to enter the home. Before they tried to enter, though, they heard a gunshot and later found the suspect dead of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The contractor who was shot is expected to survive. The incident's being investigated by police and the Sheboygan County Medical Examiner's Office. Ted Allen, Wisconsin Radio Network.
On the campaign trail, President Joe Biden stopped in Milwaukee Wednesday and announced $36 million in federal funding to rebuild a stretch of 6th Street that connects the Brew City's north and south sides to downtown. Biden said the funding will help address safety concerns on city streets.
Wider sidewalks for children walking to school, safer bike lanes for residents and visitors, dedicated bus lanes to get to work faster, new trees to provide shade, and modern infrastructure to prevent sewage from flowing into the Milwaukee River and the Lake Michigan.
Biden said the improvements will be life-changing for community members.
They're also going to make it easy for historic black communities in the north and Latino communities in the south to access jobs, school, and entertainment. Opportunities in the city and central hub, from watching the Milwaukee Bucks play to attending Milwaukee Area Technical College.
Overall, Biden has announced $3.3 billion through his Reconnecting Communities initiative. He continued his campaigning for a second term in Michigan on Friday. The UW System Board of Regents hired James Beebley as the new Chancellor of UW Lacrosse on Wednesday. Bob Haig has more.
The UW System Board of Regents on Wednesday unanimously approved the appointment of James Beebe following a recommendation made by a selection committee. Beebe is currently Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs at Keene State College in New Hampshire, and he'll assume the lacrosse leadership post July 1st. Beebe's hiring brings a close to an embarrassing chapter for the lacrosse campus and the UW system. Joe Gow was fired as chancellor in December after the discovery that he and his wife publicly produced pornographic videos. Bob Haig, Wisconsin Radio Network.
Concern is growing over a possible outbreak of measles in Wisconsin after there were confirmed cases of the disease in Illinois. Ted Allen has more.
As of Wednesday, as many as 10 measles cases have been identified at a Chicago migrant shelter. Health experts in Wisconsin warn of the highly contagious nature of the disease. They add that the best way to prevent infection from the measles is by staying up to date with vaccinations. In the year 2000, the Centers for Disease Control said measles was considered eliminated in the U.S., due in large part to vaccines. However, there's been a decline in overall vaccinations nationwide. As of last week, 17 states have reported confirmed measles cases, but Wisconsin is not one of them. Ted Allen, Wisconsin Radio Network.
That does it for our local and state news. We'll now step aside for a quick break. When we return, we'll have our national headlines, the Student Voices section of the program, and a weekend weather forecast. You're listening to Week in Review on 90.3 WRST-FM Oshkosh.
So let me get this straight. You're a college student who is slammed with schoolwork and the last thing you're thinking about is listening to the radio. Or you're a parent and you have your hands full with the kids, your job, and you're going from the first alarm. Download the Radio FX app today and listen to 90.3 WRST on the go. Listen to the radio station of the Titans anywhere, anytime with the Radio FX app.
How was your drive to school?
Let me tell you, I had to get my iced coffee first. I just can't seem to put it down. My favorite rapper just announced a tour. My phone was buzzing like crazy. I'm so excited. I had to text all my friends right then to talk about it. Then, someone started calling me and...
Let's try that again.
I turned my phone off right away. I never drive distracted.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Hello?
Man, where are you? I thought you were coming.
I can't. I'm in bed with the flu.
The flu? Whoa. Grandma's about to crowd surf. Man, I'll call you back.
Don't get stuck at home with the flu. A flu shot is safe, effective, and you can get it at the same time as your COVID-19 vaccine. A flu shot is the best way to prevent the flu and its potentially serious complications. Don't get flu FOMO. Learn more at getmyflushot.org.
Brought to you by the AMA, CDC, and the Ad Council.
Keep on shuffling with us at 90.3 WRST-FM, the radio station of the Titans. 90.3 WRST, the best in college alternative.
Welcome back to Week in Review. I'm your host and news director, Jacob Link. Let's get right into the second half of our program with our national news. Kicking off our national news, the U.S. House of Representatives passed a bipartisan bill Wednesday that would force TikTok's Chinese owner to either sell the app or have it banned in the United States. As NPR's Deirdre Walsh reports, the legislation pits national security against First Amendment rights.
Washington State GOP Congresswoman Kathy McMorris Rogers, who backed the bill, said it gave TikTok's owner the choice to avoid a ban.
Separate from your parent company ByteDance, which is beholden to the CCP, and remain operational in the United States, or side with the CCP and face the consequences.
Opponents warn the legislation would harm content creators and small businesses. They say the bill violates the free speech rights of its more than 170 million users. The measure heads to the Senate, but it's unclear when lawmakers will act on it. President Biden said if Congress enacts a law, he will sign it. TikTok is likely to fight any ban in court. Deirdre Walsh, NPR News.
In other news, according to the Associated Press, a former Boeing manager who raised safety concerns about the aircraft manufacturer was found dead outside a hotel in South Carolina last Saturday. According to local authorities, the body of 62-year-old John Barnett was found dead in a car outside a Holiday Inn. The Charleston County Coroner's Office said Barnett appeared to have suffered from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The Louisiana resident was pronounced dead at the scene. Police in Charleston said detectives were waiting for a formal determination of the cause of death and any additional evidence that might shed light on the case. In 2019, Barnett told the New York Times about quality issues at Boeing's factory in South Carolina, where the 787 jetliner is assembled. He told the BBC the same year that a quarter of the oxygen systems on the 787 might not work because of faulty parts installed at the Boeing plant. Boeing has denied these claims. Barnett filed a whistleblower complaint with the government, which is still pending, and a hearing on the case was scheduled for June. The judge overseeing an election interference case against former President Donald Trump and his co-defendants in Georgia dismissed some of the charges on Wednesday, but NPR's Stephen Fowler reports that the charges could be refiled.
Fulton County Superior Court Judge Scott McAfee has ruled prosecutors did not include enough detail in their charges, alleging Trump and several allies solicited elected officials to violate their oaths of office. Prosecutors say Trump, his former attorney and New York politician Rudy Giuliani, and others broke the law when they tried to get state lawmakers, the Speaker of the House, and the Secretary of State to change the outcome. But this ruling doesn't affect the larger racketeering allegations stemming from the failed push to overturn Georgia's 2020 election results, and prosecutors could refile the charges with more details. The news comes as the judge weighs whether to remove the Fulton DA's office from the case. Stephen Fowler, NPR News, Atlanta.
In entertainment news, Oppenheimer won Best Picture at the 2024 Oscars held in LA at the Dolby Theater on Sunday. The biopic, directed by Christopher Nolan, took home 7 total awards such as Best Actor, Best Supporting Actor, and Best Director. Poor Things came in behind Oppenheimer with 4 Oscars, including a Best Actress title for Emma Stone. The Zone of Interest took home the award for Best International Film, while 20 Days in Mariupol won an Oscar for Best Documentary. Go to www.oscars.org for a complete list of winners. Now it's time for Week in Review's Student Voices portion of the show. I'm here live at the WRST-FM studios with Josh Lehner, the news editor of the UW Oshkosh campus newspaper, The Advanced Titan. Josh, first off, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking.
That's awesome, and I'm glad to have you on the air as one of the guests on this semester's Week in Review show. I just have a few questions for you. The last one has to deal with the academic restructuring at UWO that was discussed on last week's Week in Review. What has been your takeaway from the different academic models, and how have the students reacted to the two models?
Well, UWO is a changing university with the general trend across the state and the country with decreased enrollment. Obviously, COVID-19 had a role to play in that, so the university has to adjust. And so I think that presenting new models that try to make the university more efficient, especially with the administrative structure, is ideal. And Martini has a history at past places where he's worked of restructuring that has been successful. So I think that restructuring can benefit students by bringing different departments together and allowing them to work collaboratively, while at the same time reducing costs. I believe the Model A version of the restructuring saves like $1.75 million, and the Model B saves 1.5. So I think that restructuring the university can have a lot of benefits in the long run. But as for the students, I think by and large they aren't really sure what's going on. This whole process is very complicated. There's a lot of different parts and pieces that are moving. And so I think that on the whole, a lot of students don't really know. Just at the end of the day, they're spending tens of thousands of dollars to come here. They are spending years of their lives to study here and get a degree. They just want the best education they can have. And so creating a university that allows for the most collaboration, that is as efficient as possible to save money and allocate it to the best places, will in the long run benefit students, and that's what they want. So moving forward, I think that really the conversation should just be what model will benefit students, will allocate resources in the proper place.
And then, so what about the reaction from faculty members? How do they feel about the restructuring?
I think that a lot of people are still just taken aback by the whole deficit situation in general with the layoffs that occurred last semester. A lot of people are taken aback. And so I haven't heard a lot about each individual staff member or faculty member and their reaction to it. I've seen a lot of support for the first model because it does allow for a lot of cooperation between different departments, whether that be nursing and the STEM department, in the journalism department where I'm from, that would be the AMP department, which includes journalism, and the RTF, radio, TV, film department, being more collaborative. And so I've heard a lot of support for Model A, and I think that definitely does benefit the departments that they have more resources to put toward their programs.
And then switching topics, let's move on to the Faculty Senate's possible vote of no confidence in the leadership of Chancellor Andrew Leavitt. What is the general feeling that you've gotten from faculty members regarding the petition and the no confidence vote?
I've heard a lot of people mention that they believe it's a matter of time before the chancellor steps down. And you have to figure that with a lot of students, faculty, and staff upset at the whole deficit situation, a lot of their discontentment is going to be pointed toward him. And so it's very possible that he decides to step down because he doesn't see a way that he can succeed at the university. And so I think that the vote of no confidence is really just a physical version of that discontentment that has been growing for a while now, perhaps even before the whole deficit situation really came about.
And then how are students feeling about the situation, when they keep hearing about how their professors, lack confidence in the chancellor?
I think a lot of them are nervous about what that means for their majors, their minors, certain programs and opportunities that they're provided. I know at the Advanced Titan, where I write articles and edit, that we have a lot of problems with funding, with getting the resources that we need to be successful, and so seeing the university kind of rock back and forth, they are nervous. A lot of research opportunities are no longer available, especially when you look at something like the study abroad program. They don't have the opportunities that they used to, and that they're not sure what they can do or if the education is going to be as full as it could have been. On top of that, a lot of people that they used to rely on aren't there anymore. You see the academic advisors, the ADAs that used to be department specific, that are no longer helping each individual department, and a lot of students relied on them. And so a lot of students are probably very nervous about it, and I've definitely heard a lot of that nervousness, and so a lot of that, again, is being directed toward the administration, specifically Chancellor Leavitt, and you can argue about how much responsibility he should or should not take for it, but at the end of the day, that's where it's being directed.
Well, that does it for us with the Student Voices portion of Week in Review. Now here's your weekend weather forecast on 90.3 WRST-FM Oshkosh. Taking a look at the weather, tonight the temperature will fall to 39 degrees with increasing clouds, and the wind will be between 10 and 13 miles an hour. Saturday will be partly sunny with a high of 53. Saturday night will be partly cloudy with a low of around 29. Sunday will be partly sunny with a high near 38 degrees and a low of around 24 degrees. We will see temperatures climb into the early stages of next week, with highs on Tuesday and Wednesday reaching 45 degrees. This has been your 90.3 WRST weekend weather forecast. That will be it for this week's edition of Week in Review. I am your host and WRST News Director, Jacob Link. You can listen to 90.3 WRST on our website at 90.3WRST.org or the Radio FX app. To listen on the app, make sure you type in 90.3 WRST or University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh. Also, make sure to check our news website at WRST.org for local news updates throughout the week. I'm News Director Jacob Link signing off for Week in Review. You're listening to 90.3 WRST-FM Oshkosh.